On this Tuesday morning, we sit just 7 weeks until the midterm elections, and Republican candidates in some of the Senate's most vulnerable swing state races stand divided over Senator Lindsey Graham's bill banning abortions at 15 weeks.
The South Carolina senator on the couch. Senator, so you have some people that are supportive of you, of this move by the Republican Party: Herschel Walker, Blake Masters, Marco Rubio, Ted Budd, KG, Laxalt, J.D. Vance, and Mehmet Oz, and against Ron Johnson, Don Bolduc, and Joe O'Dea.
I hope they all win. Joe O'Dea is pro-choice. If he came up to Washington, he would secure the border. He would be helpful to the cops. He would stop rampant inflation. He would stop hiring 87,000 IRS agents. I'm not a single-issue voter, but I am pro-life. Let me say this. What should we be saying? The Democratic Party, every member of the Democratic Party voted to allow taxpayer-funded abortion up to the moment of birth, like China and North Korea. You know what all those people have in common? They would not vote to abort babies up to the moment of birth using taxpayer dollars. To the Republican Party, I am proudly pro-life. There's no shame in being pro-life. The shame here is to have policies in America like China and North Korea, and I will fight with my last breath to keep this country from being a nation that would abort a baby up to the moment of birth, and every Democratic senator voted for that proposition. My position is 15 weeks. France is at 14 weeks, exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother, and states can do more if they want to, up to 15 weeks. I want to be a nation that's civilized. I don't want to be China. I don't want to be North Korea when it comes to the unborn.
You know, Senator, there are so many Republicans who are pro-life, but there are also a lot of Republicans who believe in federalism, in states' rights, and on things like deciding their own laws on abortion.
Sure.
And this federal abortion ban would go against that.
This is not a states' rights issue. This is a human right issue. At 15 weeks, a baby sucks its thumb. At 20 weeks, you're encouraged to sing to a child because
Which is what I am right now. I'm 20
weeks. She's 20 weeks, folks. I don't care what California does on most things. I care here. I am not going to sit on the sidelines in Washington, D.C. and tell the pro-life community Washington is closed for business. I want 47 of 50 European nations ban abortion at below 15 weeks. So no matter what California or Maryland will do, these are human beings in development. I am going to advocate a national minimum standard.
What about Oklahoma?
They can do it. Under my bill, you can go below 15 weeks, but I'm drawing a line like Europe, and I'm rejecting China. California is adopting in Oregon Chinese abortion policy, and I do not believe federalism requires me to sit on the sidelines and watch a baby at 30 weeks, 28 weeks be dismembered. I will not do that.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who feel the same way. But, Senator, 7 weeks away from a midterm election, suddenly a lot of people are going, what is he doing? Why is he injecting that story into the narrative?
I don't mean to be alarmist here, but the Democratic Party is talking about abortion. Does anybody ever tell the public that their position on abortion is taxpayer-funded abortion up to the moment of birth? So you're going to be asked about abortion if you're running.
So you're just trying to get ahead of it and give people an idea and see who's going to be behind it.
It's a wrong...
Mitch McConnell doesn't want you to do this.
Well, you know, the pro-life community wants me to do it, and I'm going to do it. And let me tell you why I think Mitch is wrong. He's pro-life. So let's talk about a broken border. Let's talk about rampant crime. Let's talk about out-of-control inflation. Let's talk about failing foreign policy and withdrawal from Afghanistan. But when you're on the stump, people need to know who you are and where you are. So what would I do if I were running? I've won 4 times. I would look the camera in the eye and say that my opponent supports aborting a baby up to the moment of birth with taxpayer dollars. I reject that. Here's my position. We're on the wrong track everywhere. Now we're going to be on the wrong track on abortion.
All right, so let's talk about the other major issue. You signed on to this letter to the Department of Justice, to AG Garland. You said this. Here's a quote from it. Given the politicization of the DOJ under your watch and the importance of avoiding any appearance of impropriety, the undersigned requests that you provide U.S. Attorney Weiss the full protection and authorities of a special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden.
Right.
So you know he's not going to say, good idea, Lindsey, thanks for bringing it up to me.
It is a good idea. My bill is a good idea.
But not in his view.
Yeah, but that's why we have a political race. I believe that you should have somebody looking at Hunter Biden other than a Delaware prosecutor. Right. We're having a prosecutor in the guy's home
4
state.
years running.
Yeah. Now, the prosecutor's a fine fellow, but can you imagine what the left would do if I suggested we should not have had a special counsel in the Mueller investigation? Right. We had a guy. It worked. What I am saying, given all the evidence that's coming out about Hunter Biden, the laptop is real. Every media outlet in this country suppressed the story, including social media. The laptop is real. They said it wasn't. I want somebody outside of politics, Delaware politics, looking at Hunter Biden like they looked at Trump. That's not unfair.
Well, the president was on 60 Minutes, and he said that Hunter Biden his son has never done anything wrong that could impact the United States.
Then he shouldn't be worried. He should embrace a special counsel.
Be a quick
my
investigation.
family done nothing wrong. Come and look at my records. Look at my interaction with Hunter Biden. Look at the way he did business.
What about the voicemail? The voicemail that came out and
Come
said,
look
son,
at
I think
it.
we're in the clear. I read the Washington Post story. I think we're in the clear. How could he possibly say that and also say that he knew nothing about his son's
You can't have it both
deals?
ways. You can't say to the world, to the public, there's nothing there. I did nothing with Hunter Biden. He's completely okay. Well, Mr. President Biden, let somebody outside of Delaware make that decision.
Sure. Absolutely.
That's what you supported for Trump. But you wanted somebody outside of politics to look at Trump.
Sessions he recused himself, and you got Mueller, which was a 2-year disaster.
If I were President Biden, I wouldn't go on TV ever again.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That was a complete disaster.
Pandemic's over. China, we're going to fight you.
Lindsey Graham, he's in the news a lot these days.
A little short guy.
Senator, thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck with the baby.
Thank you.
Good luck.
And you guys met for the first time. You really hit it off.
Yes, I hoped we did.
And I'll talk to you on radio.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.